Nothing else in your life matters unless you understand your mind and the tricks it plays on you. Your relationship with your mind determines the quality of your internal experience in any circumstance, and it's the key for co-creating the type of world we all really want to be a part of. Here we're going to unpack 3 big reasons why this is the only thing really worth our attention right now. And even if you personally don't mind creating a whole bunch of unnecessary suffering for yourself, we really can't afford to keep ignoring this. Growth, then collapse, is the normal pattern of societies throughout history. And now we're so powerful and so globally interconnected that we can collapse all of civilization and even collapse the biosphere that makes all life on Earth possible. We have the power of gods and need the wisdom to match as soon as possible. You probably know this already. I'm far from the first person to point this out. We can all see that we humans do self-destructive and just plain stupid things all of the time. And it's about time that we drill down to really understand why and how we can do better. Nobody denies that we're all interconnected, so why don't we act like it? As I contemplate the root causes of our self-inflicted suffering, I agree with many others that it starts with a mental confusion. I'd go as far as to say it's even a delusion. We confuse our thoughts with reality. We confuse who we really are with a concept of who we are. We pay more attention to our self-centered story about what's going on than to what's actually going on. Apart from the fact that this confusion is moving us towards large-scale self-annihilation, it also perpetuates smaller-scale self-sabotage in our personal lives every day. Being lost in the mind cuts us off from discovering who we really are, and from the simple joy and wonder of existing, as we constantly imagine and create problems that don't really need to be there. This confusion makes us personally and collectively miserable, as it stops us from seeing the most obvious fact that all life is interconnected. The illusion of being a self separate from everything and everyone else allows us to forget the most basic facts, like that human life wouldn't even be possible without plant life, and that we're all in this together. This confusion is the breeding ground for terrible ideas to spread rampantly, and allows us to do the most absurd, senseless, and downright horrific things, like pollute the air that we all breathe, contaminate the water that we all drink, blow up our homes and ourselves. It's obvious we shouldn't do these things, but it's somehow not obvious enough to stop us from doing them, and from building systems that incentivize us to continue doing them. This mental distortion even allows us to create and believe stories about why it's good to do these clearly terrible things. We know, in theory, that we're all interconnected. It's impossible for anyone to make a case to the contrary, but we don't act like we know. Even people like you and me who would like to leave the world better than we found it easily slip into the illusion of separation and have to remind ourselves of our interconnectedness. We're somehow blind to see what's right in front of us. We need to figure out how to make interconnectedness not just intellectually obvious, but obvious on every level. Something that we feel to the core of our being and couldn't possibly imagine forgetting about or not realizing. The intellectual concept of interconnectedness can be helpful, but it's easy to forget, and just a limited conceptual model of the real interconnectedness that exists beyond all concepts. I personally don't think it's a question of adding more reminders to think about interconnectedness more, but rather fixing the distortion in our perception that prevents us from seeing it to begin with. I said at the beginning that nothing else in your life matters. Now, to be fair, I think anything that helps us to sense our interconnectedness is worthwhile. Daily things like loving and caring for our families, communicating sincerely, working in teams, building our community. All these things are good. But if we don't clarify our perception, if we don't improve the foundation which gives us our sense of what matters, and what's worth aiming towards, then even our efforts in these things will be undermined. In other words, any sincere effort to love and connect matters and is worth doing. But as long as our minds are programmed to run the illusion of separation, we're going to struggle. That's one reason why I said at the beginning that it's the only thing that matters. Another big reason is that it's the only thing that we have any real measure of control over. And the third reason is that it's the only thing that definitely makes your experience of life better, regardless of the outside world, while simultaneously and somewhat paradoxically making you better able to help the world. Harmonizing our minds allows us to regulate our internal state, rather than letting it be determined by external factors completely beyond our control. Harmonizing our minds creates internal cohesion, rather than being at war within ourselves. We don't cultivate internal harmony to ignore the world on fire, but to be able to act in it with the calm clarity necessary to help put out the fire, rather than making it worse by reactively fanning the flames or mistakenly trying to fight fire with fire. It's the path to both personally experience more harmony in your day-to-day and to help cultivate a more harmonious world. Our sense of identity and relationship with our mind is the operating system on which all of our behaviors run. It's the basis for orienting ourselves in the world, and it's clearly leading us towards destruction. If we're driving off a cliff, is there anything more important than course correction? For most of my professional life, I've been focused on making the most heartfelt music possible, and I still see this as an important part of my path, but about 6 months ago, I stopped and asked myself, what's the most meaningful thing that I can share right now? If I died tomorrow, what do I wish that I would have shared first that I haven't said yet? If I could say one thing before I go, what would that be? When I asked myself that question, the response was crystal clear inside of me. I'd say, we are not who we think we are. Of course, I wanted to unpack what I meant by that statement, so it turned into a paragraph, which turned into an article, which turned into this entire video series. We're drilling down to seriously address the root causes of our self-inflicted suffering, and we have to work together to connect the pieces of this deep existential puzzle. So I've been working really hard to organize and connect the pieces that I have so far, and hope you'll join me in connecting yours. After years of personally feeling confused about the nature of the mind and the mentally constructed sense of self that's often called the ego, I feel like some things have recently just snapped into focus like never before, and that now is the time to share them. I want to contribute to this important conversation as clearly as I can, so please join me in this series to demystify the ego and understand the mind. Share your thoughts with me, and consider subscribing to the Harmonious Reality newsletter and this channel. Links are in the description. Thank you for being here. Really, sincerely, thank you. I know you could be doing a lot of different things with your time, and if you resonate, I'm just so sincerely happy to join with you. Love you. Let's do this.